how did you get into the mess to begin with?
Yeah, a lot of people want to hear about the mess and how I got there. So I was born into the mess. So my parents were drug addicts. And I mean, as a small child, I didn't really know that they were drug addicts. I just was a kid trying to do kid things. And dad ended up going to prison when I was 4 years old. He was honorably discharged from the military, but then, of course, was an addict and an alcoholic, and apparently was caught up in some extracurricular activity outside of his regular day job. And so I watched our house be raided when I was 4. And then a few short years later, my mom introduced me to drugs. So it started a spiral. And then I started to really understand that it provided an escape as well. Life was very violent. My mom was in and out of different relationships and insanity. Our houses were drug houses, and life was just chaotic. And so eventually what drugs became were my intimate relationship, and it was my escape. It was my method of coping. And for a really long time, I wondered why God would play such a nasty trick person. Like, why was I on this earth? I tried everything in my power to die, either die by cop, die by homicide, or die by suicide. And I was very unsuccessful in all of those things. I did rack up a lot of felony charges and misdemeanor charges, and I'm grateful for it, because what those periods of time did is they gave me a separation. They removed me from the destructive path of my choices. And that's, like, I have such a problem with what we're doing in today's world because, yes, there's this idea that you can't arrest your way out of things, but those arrests gave me opportunities for clarity.
What is addiction? Tell me that.
Yeah, well, I think everybody can identify with addiction, though we tend to other ourselves and other people. So if you like chocolate cake or fried chicken, or if there are any behaviors, and I think that we all possess something that we do in excess, it's just that sometimes what you might do in excess might not destroy your life, right? So there's that. But there was always sort of this little flame inside of me that knew that I was going in the wrong direction. But I didn't have the skill set or the bandwidth or the drive to change it, because the relationship, it was an intimate relationship with substances that helped me to navigate all of the things that had been happening, all of the messages that had been being said to me that I then turned into my own message. So addiction is just sort of a warm, intimate relationship with a substance that becomes that loving hug that you want from your mom, and
it's
for
like
some,
the relief.
It is. Yeah. Or that really passionate, intimate relationship that you have with that individual that makes you want to go back over and over again. It is also that. So it becomes everything to you. And I had one of the most unique experiences with my addiction and understanding how addiction manifests in my life when I got loaded the last time after my mom died. But I'm going to talk a little bit about what caused me to relapse. There was my mother and I sort of grew up in the throes of insanity together. Yeah. And regardless of my opinion, as I was growing up, I have to recognize that we're building the plane as we fly it as human beings, right? And sometimes we don't have the skill sets that we need to be able to help our children build the skills that they need to be successful. And so I've learned to forgive her. However, I started using, though I didn't want to, and I couldn't stop once I started. And that was the huge thing for me. Yeah. Right? I'm currently in a battle with food right now. But anyways, that's a whole other conversation for another podcast. Once I started, I couldn't stop. When an individual who has had a long-term relationship with drugs puts drugs into their body, it wakes up a beast that is so much bigger than that individual. And that is why the separation without drugs, without medication-assisted treatment, without adulterants is so necessary. However, we also have this other part of that addiction, and that is what's happening in society. We have narratives and messages and a pharmaceutical company that is pushing the solution. And we have medical folks and service folks, and everybody is convinced that people can't.
Yeah.
And so we have those messages going around. And when you have an addict who already looks in the mirror and thinks that they are a complete failure, that they don't know anything, that they've never done anything but destroy their life, they look to people like yourselves and clinicians and doctors as though they are all knowing.
Right.
And that's my argument with lived experience. Hey, look, I appreciate the work that people are trying to do, but if you don't know, you don't know.
That's right.
Let's stop professing that we know.
But at what moment, in the mind of an addict, what is the moment are there moments where that person says, I need to not use this drug? Like, I need to stop. This is ruining my life, and or I'm going to wind up dead or in prison.
First, I want to say that, yes, the fact that the drug is probably going to kill me has definitely crossed my mind, and I definitely don't care. Because like when I was talking about looking in the mirror, right, and seeing all of the things and disqualifying myself as a human being, typically when the relationship has gotten that intense with the drug, like the concern for my longevity does not exist.